So I just came home from school and we were talking about how there's a lot of laws protecting minors from sexual abuse or sexual harassment. And then he said, guess what? Kalau nanti korang nak rogol, janganlah rogol yang bawah 18, korang rogol yang atas 18.
Pendekatan guru tersebut tidak begitu proper.
I just want schools to be safe.
Were you silent or were you silenced?
On 23rd April 2021, Ain Husniza Shahrul Nizam had posted 2 videos on TikTok and Twitter regarding her experience on sexual harassment incited by her own teacher. The post quickly garnered 4 million of views, including attention from our Ministry of Education, our former Minister of Education Mazli Malik, politicians like Said Sadiq, and also many news outlets. I would like to say that this incident is quite an eye-opening for everyone, because while she received a lot of support of solidarity, she also received quite a lot of criticism, hate, people calling her attention seeker, and also sexual harassment targeted towards her and also the people who are against sexual jokes in school. These people claim how sexual jokes are something that is very normal to happen in a school community, but the real question is, why normalize such bad behavior? So with us today, we have 4 amazing panels, Hairin, Irdina, Aina and Haja, who are going to be talking about the correlation between sexual jokes, a safe classroom and effective teachers. But before we dive deeper into the topic, let me just scratch the surface of it by giving you a definition of what sexual jokes are. Sexual jokes are inappropriate and unwelcome sexual remarks made towards the victim in a social situation without the person's consent. So I will pass the next agenda to Hairin, who is going to be explaining about the types and the examples of sexual jokes. Please welcome.
Sexual jokes is considered as part of verbal sexual harassment. For this topic, we will be emphasized on 4 types of sexual jokes, which is direct, indirect, verbal, and visual. Direct type means it directly mentions the sexual nature to the victim. For example, as shown in the video, it mentioning the sexual practice as a joke, which are incredibly uncomfortable and inappropriate. Next is indirect type, which is the use of double meaning words that indicate the sexual nature. For example, the use of these words, which are implying to male genital parts. Verbal type is sexual comments that verbally used, such as making sexual comments on the person's body, or turn the work or class discussions to sexual topics. Lastly, the visual type means showing the student sexually suggestive pictures, drawing, or cartoons.
How do you feel when a teacher includes sexual jokes in between lessons? I think this is too much.
I guess it's funny for him.
I feel so uncomfortable right now.
From the responses, it is evident that this issue is alarming. Normalizing sexual jokes in the classroom is detrimental to students' psychological well-being. Thus, the actions of an educator that normalizes such behavior cause various negative implications. Firstly, the students would perceive that making sexual jokes is acceptable. When a teacher decides to impose sexual commentaries for humor in the classroom, it implies that the teacher permits the behavior. Aside from that, teacher promotes an inappropriate way to joke around among students. Teachers have a major effect on the students' behavior. When sexual jokes are incorporated in between lessons, a teacher who is deemed to present good manners, in contrary, inflicts bad influence upon the students. And from the viewpoint of the students, with the understanding that such jokes are appropriate because the teacher does it so often and never raised it as a problem, sexual jokes would become a common practice in the classroom. Moreover, when a teacher proceeds to use sexual jokes in class, it creates an uncomfortable classroom environment. A school is supposed to be a haven for students to enjoy learning, and it is a teacher's responsibility to safeguard that. Mutual trust should be established between teachers and students, but if teachers are among the perpetrators, who is left for the students to rely on within the school premises? This is where you should ponder. Back to the studio, Satina.
I don't have a mic, but thank you so much, Sister Irina, for the brilliant discussion. Now that we are all aware about the negative implication when sexual jokes are normalized by the teacher in a classroom, let's further this discussion by discussing about the role of teachers in creating a safe classroom environment. Take it away, Aina and Hairin. Thank you.
So, what can teachers do in creating a safe classroom environment? Here is some ways. Firstly, by building trust between the teachers and the students. Positive relationships and attitudes among the students and teachers can support an environment in which students will feel safe and learning takes place. Students will feel more connected to their school and community when an adult provides encouragement to the students to become more actively involved within and outside the classroom. Hence, students will feel safer as they can depend and rely to the teachers when they are at school. Secondly, teachers can support students' needs through classroom arrangement. While not every student will need the same level of support in the classroom, providing different supports can encourage students to be mindful of others' needs and how those needs can be met in different ways.
Next, by setting ground rules in the classroom for students, it would make them to feel confident in sharing their ideas, values, and attitude without fear of negative feedback from their peers, including from their teachers. By setting the basic rule like listen to and respect to each other, use language that won't offend or upset anybody, comment on what was said, not the person who said it, and avoid to make any judgment or make any assumptions about anyone. By successfully establishing the setting ground rules in classroom, it will create a space where students feel belongs in and feel respected. Teachers are also expected to be respectful to students in terms of respecting their personal boundaries and respecting their differences. Teachers are also expected to use respectful language towards students. At the same time, it is important for all adults, including teachers, to respect private students' information. Teachers also could let the students to customize their private space, such as decorating and putting their pictures in names to provide a sense of ownership and give them a place where they feel safe and accepted.
Thank you so much, Sister Hairin and Aina, for enlightening us about the role of teachers and its relation to a safe classroom environment. Now let's have Sister Irina share with us the concept of Rahmatan lil Alamin and their relation to the role of teachers. Please welcome.
From the Islamic perspective, it is important to note that Islam calls upon mercy to all, or in its specific term, it is Rahmatan lil Alameen, a principle taught by the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ that must be emulated by all Muslims in which to spread universal values of love and compassion to all mankind as well as all God's creatures. The role of a teacher is not solely to transmit knowledge, but also to cater students with an abundance of good moral values and most importantly, the adab. That of course includes how teachers are entrusted to eradicate any kinds of sinful speech or harassment in a classroom. As we know, a teacher is a man of obedience and respect, and that is why Islam highlights the importance of giving respect to the ones who impart knowledge. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran, Allah elevates to high positions those from amongst you who are faithful and those who have acquired knowledge. Surah Al-Mujadilah, verse 11. Teachers have a special status in Islam, and as a servant of God, we should all show respect and say kind things to one another. That is especially expected from the individual called teacher. If the student's right to feel safe at school is abused due to the attitude of their teacher, this shows that such teachers are not fit to be in the educational field. Because if a teacher really values the beauty of teaching and upholds what they are held accountable for as an educator, sexual jokes in the classroom would not happen. Now, let's have Sister Hajar to elucidate on how an effective teacher can take prevention measures on sexual jokes within the school premises.
As effective teachers, this is how they should prevent the occurrence of sexual jokes in the classroom. We must provide education and information about harassment to all schools members on a regular basis. The creation of awareness among teachers is needed as the creation of information, open communication and guidance are of particular importance in removing the taboo of silence, which often surrounds of cases of sexual harassment or sexual jokes. Information session, personal meeting, office meetings, group discussion, and problem-solving groups can prove very effective in this respect. Teachers should also be informed of the best way of coping with aggression by means of guidelines and teachers' development programs on sexual jokes at school. We need to make sure that all teachers understand their responsibility to provide a safe environment for students in the classroom. Next, these are the strategies to comfort the students who experience sexual jokes. First and foremost, effective teachers need to offer comfort to them once who experience the sexual jokes. Give him or her your support. Encourage the students to talk about it and to take immediate action to stop the sexual jokes. Support them so they can trust teachers, as it will be the only way for them to open up with each other. Make sure that they know it is okay to talk about it and they do not have to be ashamed of it. But do not force them if they refuse. They often don't need advice or tips, just simply someone to listen to.
It is evident and supported in psychology education how sexual jokes are not to be normalized in the school. These severe and pervasive issues should be taken very seriously by all sides, especially educators, so a safe classroom management and the concept of Rahmatan lil Alamin can be achieved very successfully. Before we end our show, I would like to say thank you to everyone for tuning in our talk show.
We from SURFIVE would like to take this chance by firmly stating our stand.
We are against sexual jokes in school,
And you should too. Together we make school a safer place.
We make schools a safer place.
A safer place.
make school a safer place.
And thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching.